Hello, and welcome to Girls, Gays, Animes, where it is safe to love what you love and love who you love. I am your host, Valsaraptor, and I love making cis straight males watch 4BL animes for Pride Month. I'm here with my co-host, T.
Hey guys, it's T. I love when the air conditioning in my house works, and it's not currently, so that blows.
We are here with a special guest host, a cis straight male that I referenced earlier. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, I am Bit King DT, or if you oppose the monarchy, Danny, like Phantom. It's not a crypto thing, it's a Digimon reference, and I love to learn about other cultures so that I can better insult them. You know the thing in like that Mark Wahlberg movie when he's like, I took ballet so that I could make fun of kids who do ballet? That's what this whole thing started was. I wanted to learn about romance so that I can make fun of romance.
So our topic for today, we have Danny, like Phantom, on to discuss 4 different BLs. And they're all kind of like different types of BLs. We've got an adult romance BL. We've got a high school romance BL. We've got a classic BL that literally everyone has seen. So if you have ever seen a BL, it's probably this one. And then we have a sports anime, which by default is a BL. So I will not be taking arguments on this, okay? Well, I guess I'll hear what Danny has to say. So the 4 that we're going to go through are Skate the Infinity, Yuri on Ice, Sasaki and Miyano, and Cherry Magic. And
Technically 2 of those I would say are sports.
2 of them are
Yuri.
sports. Yuri on Ice, yeah. It is a sports anime, yeah.
Yeah.
I just, in my mind, it is by default a romance, and they happen to do sports, where the other ones are like sports animes, but are inherently gay. Happy Pride.
Hey.
It's funny, I mentioned to my husband that we were doing this, and I was like, yeah, we got sports, we got this. And he was like, oh, are you guys talking about free? And I was like, no, we're not. But you're right, we could have been.
We could do a whole segment on why sports animes are gay. And we just like throw a bunch of clips of just the sports animes and then being like,
And then
yep.
we go, cut.
That's it, that's the whole show.
I have a funny story with like I haven't seen Haikyuu like yet, but like there was this one clip that I saw and I legitimately thought for the longest time that like it was like the actual dub, and like there's basically this part where he's like, is it me, am I the pervert, and I'm like, what? And then I was so sad I found out years later that it was like an abridged like thing. I was so disappointed that I just put off watching it. I'm like, no, nothing is ever gonna live up to this abridged thing that I saw.
Well, speaking of you, so then when you saw Skate the Infinities dub, you may have had like a scare moment where you thought that it was like some abridged, but you found because you watched it in dub that it was in fact not abridged. That is just
that's how they talk.
Yeah, that's just how they talk.
Can I go ahead and like rank how what I saw? Like
sure.
how I
Yeah,
okay.
let's go through. Let's have you rank like what you thought, and for the viewers too. So like these are all ones that I've seen, and some of them I've actually read the manga for. And then T, some of these were new for you too, right?
Yeah, so I had seen, oddly enough, both sports ones up until recently, and somehow with my limited life schedule, I was able to slam out the other 2 in the past literally 4 days while watching Bridgerton.
I also plowed through Bridgerton.
There's so many jokes in that statement. Anyway,
all right. So we'll have Danny do his rankings, and then maybe we'll talk about it. Because then T, you're probably gonna have rankings, and then I, of course, will come in, and I don't know. We'll go from there. So give us how do you rank them?
All right, so right off the bat, like number 1, Skate the Infinity. No, I'm a shonen guy. Like there was no way this wasn't gonna be number 1. Like I'll say some comments after the fact, but then number 1 easily Skate the Infinity. But surprisingly, like at a very close number 2, like if it wasn't for the music, the soundtrack that's gonna be on my Spotify Wrapped in Skate the Infinity, this would be number 1, Cherry Magic. I really loved it. I was so surprised at how much I loved it. This like, yeah, I'll bit more. Number 3, but like a pretty big gap between 2 and 3 is Yuri on Ice.
Okay.
And then down at the bottom, number 4, Sasaki and Miyano.
All right, I like it. I anticipated Skate being your number 1. That was my ace in the hole. I was like, he's gonna love this, not just because it's like unhinged. Well, mostly because it's unhinged, but it's good, right? I thought, I don't know, the Cherry Magic I think is a surprise for me, But I went in recommending this one to you blind because I had only read the manga. I hadn't watched the anime yet.
Have you watched it at all?
Oh yeah, I went through and watched
okay.
watched it, and I was like giggling and kicking my feet the entire time.
Yeah.
All right, T, what's your ranking?
I would say mine's pretty similar. So my top 2 would be Skate and Yuri. I'm not sure where I would put either of them because I have Yuri, like, there's a special place in my heart for Yuri on Ice. I loved it when it first came out. Very upset when the movie got canceled. Skate was so much fun. It was different than anything I'd seen before. I mean, I've seen shonen and stuff like that, but this was just so fun, and the characters were interesting. The concept was cool. I'm gonna put Cherry Magic third because I am so angry at Sasaki and Miyano. Not even gonna lie about it. I thought it was really cute. And then I don't know how much I want to spoil until we're actually like dissecting each of them, but I had a huge qualm with how some things unfolded. I have questions about the magic in Cherry Magic, and that's mainly what I took my notes on.
Okay. Which I might be able to answer because I've read through all of it. And mind you, it is 11 volumes, and they crammed it into one season.
That's what surprised me. I just finished it earlier today, and spoiler warning, the wedding happened at the very end, and I remember talking to you about the manga, and you were like, yeah, it ends with them getting married. And I was like, are you joking? The whole 11 volumes was fit into this 12 episodes?
So I was wrong, or maybe I misspoke, but the 10th volume is the wedding. It has like 2 more volumes after that. So I don't.
Maybe I wasn't remembering wrong.
But I don't anticipate them adding on more, and unless, like I said, they do the spinoff with the side characters.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was a part of the main series or if that was going to be a spinoff or something, because I did remember that as well as I was watching it. So I was like, maybe I'm making stuff up, but I was surprised they fit like 90% of that manga into the show.
Yeah, I know we're not debating it yet, but that's like my thing with A Sign of Affection is like they cut a ton of stuff out and it really took away from the series, in my opinion. Like the romance didn't develop in the anime as compared to the manga, but with Cherry Magic, it is all there, even though they blast through 10 volumes in one season. It's all still there. You still feel and get everything that you should out of it. So I'm gonna say that I agree with your ranking, T. I might actually. So I love Yuri on Ice. It is classic. It is always like tried and true favorite. When I think about what my favorite is of something as well, I also think about like how maybe if I would recommend it to people, similar to like your book rankings. So when I think about Skate, it's something that I would recommend to anybody.
Yeah, that's fair.
I also don't have a Yuri on Ice tattoo, but I do have a Skate the Infinity tattoo. So I feel like I'm like, maybe it should be higher on my list. So I'm thinking Skate, Yuri, Sasaki.
I think there's something to be said about like the cultural impact of like Yuri and like when it came out, because
yes,
I'm like watching this like however many years after the fact, and the part of that like confused me for a while because I was just like, I've only seen cosplayers like of the 2 Yuris, and then so I assumed that they were gonna end up together at the end, and then like, and then like in like the second or third episode, he's like, yeah, Japanese Yuri is 23, and then Russian Yuri is 15. I'm like, wait, okay, sure.
Pump
like,
those brakes.
I was just like, all right, well, whatever. Like cosplayers have done weirder. Like, I guess true equality. You know that thing of like a 1,000-year-old in the small in a small girl's body. Like equality is letting everyone be problematic, I guess. So sure.
Yeah.
But then like that was the mindset I had, and that's why I kept going through it. I was just like, yeah, sure, okay, they end up together at the end, and then I was surprised when they didn't. I was like, oh, okay. I am glad you mentioned Sign of Affection though, because that was the one. Like I had seen a lot of like romance before, you know, like Your Name and Weathering with You, like 2 of my favorite movies of all time, and I like the romance aspects in shonen, like of the side characters, because those are typically well developed. But then like I watched like the first 8 episodes of like Sign of Affection, and I was just like, man, I googled like how many episodes of Sign of Affection. It just said 8. And I thought like, okay, cool, I did it. I gave romance a try, and the 8th episode kind of ends on like a semi-ambiguous note where they're like, yeah, sure, you could stop right here. And I was like, yeah, sweet.
Oh,
And then like I
weird.
found out that there were 4 more episodes.
It's just so frustrating because I think that conversation that I was having with you was what prompted this. Because I was like, wait, please don't let that be your exposure to romance and say you tried it and that you called it and that you're good. And then you're like, okay, fine, come up with some and I'll come on the podcast and talk about it. I'm like, great, awesome, sweet. Then I start throwing out my favorite, like, romances for him to watch. I get like 2 or 3 deep and I'm like, these are all BLs. I'm sorry, I'm sticking to it. You're only getting BLs for this. And it lined up for Pride Month, so.
Yeah, exactly. If any, you gave me like way more than these 4 and I wrote them all down. Yeah, I have them like here. It like takes up like a whole thing. I can start checking them out actually.
So it's funny, I haven't seen Sign of Affection. I know concept and everything. Vel, you are the only person that I've seen on the internet that talks bad about it, but like, I trust your opinion. I'm still gonna watch it. Yeah. I want to watch it, but like, I'm so curious what other people are seeing that did click with you, or like maybe they're just coming into it with a bias. Like, I don't know. I just think it's so strange that and I'm not saying this in a bad way to you. I'm just, why is nobody else complaining about it? Like, there has to be somebody else other than you that didn't like it.
I wonder how many people didn't read the manga, because you said you had
That's
read it.
true. That probably
was what I was going to say. I was going to say, I think I went in having read the manga. And a lot of times what that does for me is it puts blinders on to missed details. Mm-hmm. But in this case, they were just so apparent and like in the way that they were lacking that it was so obvious that details were missing from it that I was like, this doesn't even feel like the same thing. And I actually, so I had commented on someone's TikTok because the TikTok was about when one of your favorite mangas gets an anime, but the anime is bad, but at least you get merch now. And I commented a Sign of Affection, and it gets mixed reviews, like you said, but I got a lot of likes for it, and then a couple stragglers coming in being like, oh, but they did a great job animating it. I'm like, it's not... Okay, first of all, I don't like the animation that they did for it, but I also don't like how they manage the story, so it's kind of one of those twofold things. So I told you about their Cheeto fingers. It was so distracting for me, and the noses, it was bad. But, yeah, just like so much of the story was missing. I was like, this is not what romance should be.
The Cheeto fingers makes me think of, there was this thing going on in like the 2010s with anime, and I don't know why, but it was like so many shows, the hair would be like one color and it would ombre into something else, and it was driving me insane. Like, I remember I was watching like 3 or 4 different anime at the time. I'm like, what is this trend? What is going on? And the Cheeto fingers make me think of that. It's like they took the same ombre concept and they were like, what other body parts can we make different colors?
Well, and I was thinking about it too when I was watching Cherry Magic, and I went back and I watched the graduation special for Sasaki and Miyano, and I'm like, this is a very similar animation style. I won't say that it's the same, but they have normal fucking fingers and normal noses, and it's better for it. Sorry.
I will say with Satsuki and Miyano, I noticed it a lot, and it was like the background characters, but they were still kind of close to the screen. They didn't have eyes. They would just not animate the eyes. And I know they do that sometimes where it's like, oh, this isn't an important person. But there was literally a scene where a guy was talking to his girlfriend and she didn't have eyes. And it was one of the main characters. It was the guy whose girlfriend is into BL, the other punk-looking kid with the black and blue hair.
Yeah.
He meets his girlfriend outside of school, and he has eyes, and they're looking at each other like this. She has no eyes.
I didn't notice
and like
that.
They're on an equal playing field. Why doesn't she have eyes? And I think they also did it to Satsuki's mom when his sister was standing right next to her and they were talking to each other and the mom didn't have eyes, and then the camera turned and then the mom did have eyes. And it drove me insane.
Oh my gosh.
Take away their eyes.
It's like that poo meme. Have you guys, do you know what I'm talking about? I can't do the voice. It's so embarrassing. I'm so bad at voices, but he's like, they took my fucking eyes.
Oh, Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Which Pooh were you thinking of?
She just said Pooh. Like, obviously I thought of the body
Sorry. She just said Pooh Bear. I'm sorry. Winnie the Pooh. Oh my God. Okay, so going through your rankings, do you want to talk about your least favorite through your most favorite?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
that works
let's do
out.
That.
All right,
I love it.
Bottom tier, Sasuke and Miyano. I was so bored. for a lot of them. I think this is one where like I think if I had read the manga, I would have liked it better. I got the same kind of vibe when I saw like Little Women in theater, where I was just like, why is Greta Gerwig so obsessed with hands? And then because there would be shots where like when he like touched his face and is like focused on the hand, I was just like, oh, okay, I get this is supposed to be romantic. Oh, we're still going. Okay, cool. It dragged. Granted, it felt like it dragged on because I'm like new to this genre. I'm like, oh, okay, like eventually I understood like, oh, this is like part of the thing. This is part of the experience. It's just like this is where you're supposed to squeal. Oh, this is where you're supposed to kick your feet and all that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, wait. What order did you watch these in? Also, was like this like was this the? I know. So you watched Yuri first.
I watched Yuri and Skate concurrently,
Okay.
and then I watched Cherry Magic and Sasuke and Miyano concurrently. So like I'd watched like Cherry Magic. I watched sub. So like that one, I had to like pay attention. So like whenever so now when I was like, I actually watched like I was so bored with Sasuke, like I just worked out in the middle of it. Like I was working from home and I just like like I have weights now, so I was just like lifting weights while they were doing it. There was one part that made me laugh so hard that I almost dropped the weights on me. I guess when we get to the spoiler part, I'll talk about that. But yeah.
I will say, with the hands, there was definitely a case of yaoi hands a lot, where the hands were like very large. There was also a scene where Sasuke was sick, and Miyano, whatever it is, has to take care of him, and they were sitting on the floor together talking, and Sasuke had like no socks on and his foot was out, and I was like, my dog put those grippers away. His foot was like this big, and they had detailing of his individual toes like down to here. And I was trying to pay attention to this touching moment between these two boys, and I was like, I can't stop staring at your gigantic Godzilla feet, my guy. Why is this happening?
Oh my god. Okay, so I did notice the yaoi figures. I did not notice the giant gargoyle grippers.
If I can get a screenshot and send it to you, I will, because
we'll put it in.
Gargoyle, in fact, if he could have been like lurking like this, he could hold on tight and hang upside down.
Like Beast from X-Men. Like just like hanging up from the from the ceiling.
Yes. I was like, I was literally just staring at the screen like, his feet are like bat feet.
Okay, wait, so they can put veins on this dude's feet, but they can't give the mom eyes?
No.
That's where the money went. All the money went towards his feet.
Yeah.
That's where the budget went. Like shit.
That's where the market is.
Yeah, there's no wiki eyes. Clearly.
Wiki grippers.
Oh
exactly.
God. Okay, so yeah, I don't know how when the first time I watched this through, I didn't notice the yaoi fingers, but I watched a couple more episodes just to like refresh prior to this, and I was like, wow, them some long fingies. That was unnecessary. Or maybe totally necessary. I don't know.
I gotta say, yeah, clearly somebody likes it.
There's a market for that.
Yeah. Somebody in the comments is like, well, that was for me. Thank you very much.
And we love you anyway, person in the comments. So you were bored, but there was a funny... All right, so go ahead and tell us what, like, the funny moment was. I mean, because in my opinion, this is a good one because it's a slow burn, and it's notoriously a slow burn, but I recommended this specifically in dub because I thought the voice acting in it was hilarious.
Yes.
It was cute.
Like, the voice acting really saved this, like, for me in a lot of ways. Like,
it wouldn't be the same, honestly.
The voice actor for Sasuke, at first, I thought sounded like a Walmart brand Joey Wheeler, but like in a good way.
Yes, I hear that.
But then, like, the way as he kept talking more, like, especially his cadence, I was like, no, he literally talks like Isabella from Phineas and Ferb. Like, literally, he like, what you doing? Like, he literally does that. And so, like, okay, like, the voice actor really saved it. Earlier, I forget if we did this before or after, once we started recording, but, like, I played a drinking game where, like, every time he said BL, I drank, and then I blacked out, and then I woke up, and, like, according to my Crunchyroll, I had finished it, and so, like, the time I was like, okay, no, I started around, like, I fell asleep according to, around, like, episode 3, so, like, I picked up from there. But then episode 4 was like, that's when I noticed. I don't know if I wasn't paying attention or I don't know if they made it explicitly clear, but like episode 4, I was like, oh, he's not out, and that suddenly became a lot more interesting to me. That like, I just kind of like the way Sasuke was speaking. I just thought they were both like openly out.
Yeah.
I didn't know that like, I didn't realize that like, oh, Miyano wasn't out, and then like, part of the slow burn is him coming to like accept it and like deconstruct that.
Right.
And in some ways, I there was some parts that I'm like I like that, but then like as it went on, I kind of wanted like a little more teeth, a little more like it was like kind of like too sweet when it was just like, especially when all of his classmates were like, yeah, you're gay, whatever. Like it was very nice, it's very sweet, and kind of reminded me like one of my favorite books from last year, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. It kind of like
Oh,
deconstructs
so
like,
good.
okay, thank you, yes. So like it deconstructs like the nice guy trope, but like the nice guy
Yes.
is like very like asexual coded. So like what
Mm-hmm.
does the nice guy trope look like without like any sex involved? This kind of thing, like what is like deconstructing your sexuality look like without like the social stigma of it?
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, both like whereas with cherry magic it's like deconstructing your sexuality but with social stigma. I
Mm-hmm.
personally, I just like, I found that a little more interesting, a little more compelling, but I definitely, you know, both of them should exist, you know, different,
Yeah.
you know, if you don't want, if you want to get away from the social stigma, yeah, you go to Sasuke and Miyano. But like so it was good. I ultimately finished it, but like I remember I texted you, I was like, do I need to watch this graduation special? And you said no. I literally said thank God out loud. Like I was
I
just
will.
like, go ahead.
I'm glad you brought that up because my issue was with the slow burn and like you said, they're in this all boys school and you cannot tell me that a high school full of boys, nobody's going to be calling them an F word.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be giving them drama or anything of any caliber. Like there was the one guy who had the black and the blue hair and he was almost an antagonist, but it was just because of his girlfriend being so into BL. He didn't actually have a qualm with them, which is lovely to see. I was so happy that all these people were so accepting of it, but in the back of my mind I was like, how
Hmm.
is nobody reacting to this? But in the graduation, which you
Mm-hmm.
didn't watch, Sasuke's sister does have like a brief moment of discourse and they fix it within 10 minutes.
Yeah,
But my
she like,
Go
so
ahead, go ahead.
to give you perspective, and for anyone who hasn't watched the graduation special, like they're hanging out in his room and she comes in and she's like, oh, I'm so glad you have this friend, and he's like, no, we're dating. And the sister's like, why? And then like runs out of the room.
Yeah, the sister runs away and then they meet up and they talk to her and she's like, I'm sorry I was so harsh. It was just kind of a shock to me and like the environment that I'm in, like people at school were talking about how hard it would be for same-sex couples to like just exist in society, and it sounded like she was coming from a place of concern for her
Mm-hmm.
brother. It
Yeah.
wasn't like she didn't agree with it. It was like, oh, what is going to happen to my brother? He's not going to be able to have a family, he's not going to be able to do this. But she realizes in the end that that might not be a priority for him, and that's okay. It wasn't why are you this way, that's gross. It was a why are you this way, it's you're not going to get the expected life kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Hmm.
So there was a
um
tiny little bit of friction. It was like a socks on carpet amount of friction, but it was there.
Okay.
so I want to get your guys' opinion. This is why I put it last on my ranking, was because of the slow burn. There were points where I was so upset for Satsuki that I was almost crying because I was like, if I was doing the math in my head and I was like, my guy, it has been 6 months of you literally just dragging this boy around like a dog and
Hmm.
not giving him an answer either way. And I wouldn't say he was like leading him on because Satsuki was the one who was kind of initiating things here and there where he was like trying to touch his hand and this, that, and the other. But I don't know. I was getting upset with the amount of time that he was having to wait to get an answer, and I completely understand Mia trying to work through this and realize, am I into men? Is this something that I want to pursue? But also, it was literally like half a year. It was so long, and I was getting so upset for him.
I didn't realize it was. I didn't piece together the timeline that it was
Same.
6 months.
I did like I had no like I didn't have a concept of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I guess even if it was a semester, like at least in the US, like a semester is like 4 months. Even I think even that would be too long. But like yeah, like, that just didn't cross my mind at all.
It wasn't 6 months, I'm exaggerating slightly, but it was a good couple.
It was
Because
like a semester,
it
wasn't
was
it?
pretty long because it was at their cultural festival that he confessed, and then it was snowing when they got together. So it was like from summer to winter at least.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, you can't get to, no, after, because they're like, oh, if couples
It was after
before
Christmas. Yeah.
because you can't get together before Christmas.
Yeah, so it was at least December, beginning of January, and their summer festival thing was like, say, June, maybe July.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, they're hanging out every day. They're acting like nothing has changed. And the entire time, like, I kept getting this pit in my stomach of, like, this poor guy. Like, just tell him, no, maybe we can come back to this later. But, like, I don't know. It was really upsetting me, and that's why I put it last.
The slowest of slow burns.
I did like the cute little when they were having like affectionate moments where they would have the different shapes with all the colors and it would like doodly doo around the screen. I thought that was cute. That was a saving grace for me. And the cats were my favorite characters.
I have here in my notes. I was like the cats just following them around. I love to imagine the cats like, when y'all gonna kiss?
The cats even had kittens by the end. There were kittens and these cats were like, we're not wasting time.
I have in my notes. I can't really remember. Literally, I wrote episode 8. Tall guy is kind of boring. It's not like I guess like kind of like what you were saying, like indirectly in line with what you were saying, where Miyano was kind of like having this whole crisis throughout this whole time, and we're just kind of led to believe that like Sasaki is just like pining this whole time. I'm like, bro, do you want to go to college? Like, do you play sport? Like, I kind of wish they did like kind of developed his character a little more, like in terms of like giving him kind of a life outside, like the same way that like Miyano has. And they kind of alluded to this with the CDs and the music, where like they share each other's interests. Like if Sasuke was like a concert guy, like he goes to concerts and that kind of thing, and like he could have taken him to a thing or something. I don't know, like to give him some kind of life outside of his own, because like otherwise, yeah. Especially now that you pointed out that it was at least 6 months that like, because like, or at least 2 seasons that it was just like, bro, he was just, what was he doing?
Doesn't he just like work at his family's bakery though? Like, isn't that what he spends all his time doing?
They didn't even show that though.
They like, mention it a little bit in the show proper, but it really was touched on more in the graduation of him doing that. Like, there's a part in the graduation special where they are, for Valentine's Day, they get together and they bake. And he also bakes a cake for Mia for his birthday. So they kind of touch on that more in the graduation special, but you're right, in the show proper, he doesn't really have an identity beyond, I am in love with this boy, and now I like BL because I am in love with this boy.
That must be something that, because I read the manga for this one too, that must be something that I picked up on more. And like I said, it's those blinders where you read it and you're willing to overlook certain things. And I think that was something that I was able to overlook when I watched the anime that I pieced together because of how I read it in the manga. But like he spends a lot of his time working at his parents' bakery. So he doesn't have like a ton of like free time to like go to concerts or play sports or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I mean that could be a thing, but like even then, like like in the show, like even in like in the manga, I mean I would read it. Like I said, I think I would have preferred if I read it. But like, I don't know, does he like it? Does he want to like go to college to not do that? Like, is he good at it? He doesn't like it, you know.
He's like really good at it, and he likes doing it.
Nice.
So I mean, they do, like I said, it's not an excuse because I just like ran over you know, a sign of affection for doing the same thing, where you know you cut out certain details. So it's not a total excuse, but yeah, to your point, like it would have added a lot of value to him as a person and a character, and it could have even, you know, built up the story more, because you could have him like sadly baking a cake or something, and kind of like showing his emotion of like, you know, I want to be respectful of Mia, but this is really hurtful for me while baking a cake.
Yeah, there was a lot of pining, but it was while he was at school.
Yeah. And
not when he could have been doing something else that kind of showcased who he was outside of Mia.
Yeah. I think, so maybe we'll call this maybe the last point for this one. We'll move on to the next one. But I think part of what you mentioned earlier, Danny, relative to like the focusing on the hands and like some of those like smaller details, like the flutterings, I think they were able to make alignments with Mia's interest in BL, and I think that might have emphasized some of those things in the show itself, because not all BLs are like that, but I think because you had a main character who was hyper focused on BLs, they tried more to take out of the BL and put it in the show. so that you as a viewer could see it, but also because it was Mia living the BLs that he's reading and obsessed over. So they're more exaggerated. So if you watch the graduation special, you hear them talk about, you know, like the Suke's obsessed with the neck. And then like he's like, wait, his neck. And then like you start seeing all these shots of his neck, and you know, he's touching his neck. And I think it's so that Mia, who likes reading BL, can make those connections in his own life and kind of connect, like, oh, I'm in a BL. I mean, I know he was doing that before, where he was like trying to like listen in on people's conversations, and he's doing the Fudanshi thing. But I think putting himself in that situation got stretched out for us as the viewers, and it was harder for us to connect that.
Yeah, I learned a lot of words.
Too.
Like the saying Ogasawa or whatever, like the guy with black and blue hair, like the guy like dating the girl who likes BL. My girlfriend likes a lot of smut, so like that's kind of how I am. Where I'm just like, yeah, cool. I'm just here. Granted, I'm like grown, so I'm like, whatever. She reads it, whatever.
I'll say one thing that was about that guy I think it was the graduation special. He asks Sasuke if he's the top or the bottom.
Yeah.
I was like, and he's like, no, never mind. Don't answer that.
Okay.
So like that was a very like high schooler moment, right?
Yes.
Like how we kind of talked about where it didn't seem real. Everyone's super accepting. That kind of like real, it's a high schooler thing was, I think, added value to it as well. So while the graduation special didn't like further the plot, I feel like it kind of like rounded it out, like for some things that it was missing in the show.
Yeah, there was a scene where the boys are all sitting together talking, and I can't remember his name, but he's got greenish and brown hair, and he's asking Mia what he and Sasuke do together, and he's like, I don't know, normal stuff. So then he asks the guy who has a girlfriend that's in the hospital, the guy with the glasses, he's like, well, what do you guys do? And they're like, I don't know, normal stuff. And he's like, I don't know what normal stuff is. I've never had a relationship. And it was like cute little high school banter kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, the part that made me laugh that almost made me drop the weights was when the chairman was like having like a flashback to his brother coming out. He was like give up on grandkids because I like guys, and then the younger brother was just like, me too, I think.
That was cute.
It's like, wait, what about you? It was like, well, I like girls. Like the way he was just like,
it's on me.
That made me laugh so hard.
Okay, so now with that one, and we talked about like how it's slow and how the characters weren't really rounded out very well. Now comparing that to something like Cherry Magic, how does it compare?
Oh my God, Cherry Magic was so good. Like it was like exactly. This is like, okay, yes, this is what when I said I wanted to get into romance, this is exactly like what it was. Like the main character is like it's funny seeing him like so weak and timid, because like the actors from Kamen Rider, where he plays a big dumb himbo and like very loud and aggressive, and in Kurosawa he looks just like, he has the same haircut. Val, I know you watched Dropout. He has the same haircut as Zach Oyama. And so, like, I just couldn't not see him. Like, Zach,
he does!
And he has the same, like, smaller face.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And so, like, seeing like those two interact, it's also very funny because it's like, oh yeah, he's tall, but then like the tall guy is like 5'11". I didn't get to the wedding because that one came in like a movie, but like I found out that like the movie, all the proceeds for that. Hang on, let me. I found the article right here.
Oh, there was a movie?
Yeah, Cherry Magic the movie ends with the same-sex wedding, and portions of the profits will be donated to the Japanese campaign for marriage equality.
Oh, that's rad.
Sick.
That's weird. The episode that I watched, it didn't feel like it was movie length with the wedding.
Well, I watched the live action. I was waiting for you guys to notice.
You watched the live action. That's why. I watched the anime.
Like, Jal just said Cherry Magic, and I literally just, like, I was just like, Crunchyroll, now the live action came up before the anime, so I just did it. And then I went to my watch list, and I was like, all right, cool.
Oh,
but
well, now I want to watch the live action.
Oh,
but apparently the live action came first. Apparently,
yes, it did.
Yeah, so I just watched that one, and it was so like it was so good. And apparently that's also like, you know, like like in the US we have like Say Bloody Mary and like the mirror 3 times and she appears. Apparently that's like a joke in Japan. 30 years of virginity turns you into a wizard. Apparently like that's like that equivalent over there, which is like why the title is so weird and long.
That's what I was wondering, because like honestly, if I just started hearing people's thoughts one day, my first thought wouldn't be, oh, it's because I'm a virgin.
Right?
That makes so much sense. I was wondering why everyone was making this connection.
Everyone's like,
to
yep,
that.
makes sense.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Like, it's some kind of superstition.
Yeah, which is such a weird one.
Yeah.
Like, but also makes me think like, wait a minute, like if you lose your virginity or like at like 30 or like 29, if you like restart it at 59, can you get the powers back? Like do
I don't
monks
think
get
so. I think you're
one and
done.
done?
So
Go ahead.
I wish that I would have watched the live action now so that I could compare, but okay, interesting.
They were pretty one to one. Like I would watch like 3 episodes of the live action, then I would just like go and scroll around in the anime, and they're like pretty. The only difference I noticed is that like when they're on the roof in the live action, they are like the drama, I guess they call it, like since it's like the original, since in the drama like it's just like stays on them, the camera just stays on them, and like you see them looking at each other, versus like in the anime, at least the moments I saw, like it does flashbacks, which is like kind of like an anime trope thing that's just like adapting to the medium.
So how did they do his like happy singing songs thing? Because that's like one of my favorite part about my favorite part about him being able to read this other dude's mind is he's like so stoic and so chill, and then he touches him and he's like, he wrote this whole like ballad about how excited he is to be on a date with this other guy, and he's like singing, and then the other guy like rips his hand away and he's like, I can't deal with this.
Yeah, I started choking. I was eating lunch, and all of a sudden this started happening, and I started coughing, and I realized like what was happening. I thought all of a sudden I like scrolled away somehow.
So like when he touches him, like there's no singing, but like you see his thoughts, and like you don't just you hear his thoughts, you see his thoughts, and what he was seeing was like him acting all sexy. So like he was like, hey,
there are a couple of those too.
For you. And then when he like grabbed it, he was like doing a dance. Yeah, he's doing all sensual. Like there was no singing though, but like now I want to watch it just for that.
Yeah, there's like at least 2 or 3 scenes where this dude's so excited that he writes a song about it. In fact, when one of the side characters gets his virginity powers, they're like on a double date, and he accidentally touches this dude's shoulder, and he's in the middle of a song again, and he's like, this dude is so weird, but it's so good. Yeah, so okay, all right, because that was my favorite kind of like little detail about it, was because they do it in the manga too. It kind of like it goes off and it shows that he's like written like a song about it, and so I knew they did it in the anime, but I was curious how they would have done it in the live action.
Interesting.
Yeah, no singing. Yeah, no, that's when I actually paid attention to. Well, I had to because it was sub, so like I had to pay attention. But like, there were no music for as far as I remember.
Okay, what about? So one of my favorite scenes is the karaoke bar.
They do karaoke?
Yeah.
No.
We had very different viewing experiences. That
wait, was it like when the guy got his first client? No.
Mm-mm. No, it was like a work outing.
Yeah, the whole staff goes out together to karaoke, and they're in one of those private rooms. And the coworker that's a fujoshi, she goes out to go get a snack or something, go to the bathroom, I don't remember. And these guys like accost her in the hallway and are causing a scene. So main character guy comes out and he's like, I gotta be a big strong guy, I gotta help my friend here, and it does not go well. So then Kurosawa comes in and saves the day as the big strong man.
So that does happen, but it's not a karaoke. It's not a karaoke thing. In the live action, Hidachi and the girl are like at like a bakery, and they're walking back, and some guys like harass her in the street, and then like what happens? He tries to stop them. He gets knocked down. Then Kurosawa comes and like saves them.
Okay, so I can see why they would do that in the drama. But what I loved about, and the reason I brought it up, the reason I liked what happened in the anime was because they're at this karaoke bar, and main character guy, he's like whatever, and he's like talking to like his kohai, and dude man gets so jealous that he's like coming over and sitting next to him, like kind of like grumpy, like making the other guy go away. He's like, why don't you go like sing or something? And then like the girls are trying to get Kurosawa to like hang out with them, and main character is catching like sketchy vibes from these chicks because he knows that they want to hang out with the hot office guy. But then he also gets so jealous at one point that he gets up and just like sings so well that everyone starts crying. And so not only does he like sing songs in his mind whenever he's like happy, he's like legitimately a good singer. So much so that just like it's like one more thing on the pile where the main character's like, oh, this guy's perfect. Oh, I wish he sucked at singing because it would just make him a better person. But no, of course he's great at singing too. And so it's kind of like adding on layers to that thing. But I could see why the drama would do like a physical altercation outside of a bakery, much more dramatic that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's some of the stuff happens out of order too, like the president with like the cheesecake kind of thing. I think that happens in like the first or second episode, but like that doesn't happen to like the 8th episode.
Oh wow!
So like the pacing is also pretty different.
Okay, interesting.
So what episode does main character go to the other branch and open the store there?
Oh, that doesn't happen. Well, that might happen in the movie. I will say that, like the movie, there is a like the movie that goes on. I don't like in the drama that doesn't like he doesn't go.
How
to
many episodes is the drama?
That was my next question.
12.
12. Oh my gosh, we had very different viewing experiences.
Wow,
Man.
it's like half of the anime that this dude is in another city.
Or like it's not. It was like the last episode he was actually. It was like maybe the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But the conflict of it was like the last 3 or 4.
Yeah, I'm surprised the drama would skip out on like all of the drama crumbs that would come along with a guy deciding if he wants to go do something for his career or stay local and develop his new relationship with his hot new boyfriend, and then the boyfriend being upset that he would put his career on the back burner without even asking him, sort of.
The drama that does happen in the drama is like it's kind of him building up his confidence. Like there's like a thing where like there's like a contest inside the company, and they spend like 2 episodes being like, all right, we're gonna practice. Like Kurosawa like helps him like practice his presentation and like speaking, and then like he gets like 2 words into his like presentation, and the president's like, nah, next, we're not going with your product. And then so like that kind of like kills his confidence, and then he kind of like backtracks on like the progress he's made, where he's just like he was getting more confident, he was getting more social, and he's like, why did I even try, why did I even bother, blah blah blah. And then like that, and then he's like does he actually like me for me, or like does he like me because I can read his mind? Now that I know that it goes into the like they get like fully fleshes that out, maybe that whole thing of like because like if the anime ends with them getting married, then that's probably where the conflict in the movie goes in, was like, oh, do I go to this career thing, or do I develop my relationship?
Yeah, that I can see that being like the whole movie. Man, I really want to watch the drama and the movie, because this is so different than what I mean, it's not entirely different, it's obviously very similar,
story,
but I feel like we had very different viewing experiences.
The score is also very like I got like really happy, like very like, oh, this is nice. Like the music that plays in during it is like so nice. It's like I'm pretty sure that one's gonna end up on my Spotify Wrapped.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I the only other like drama or live action that I've watched this year is Marry My Husband, and that
one's on Amazon, right?
That one is on Amazon. It's now dubbed. I watched it sub because I read through the entire webtoons whenever it came out, and I was obsessed with it. But it was a really long drama. I think it was like 24 episodes. I can't remember. But they also toyed around with the story a little bit to build up the drama. And so that's what I'm like, I could see where they would like take some things and add some things back and forth. But
there's also different things like the drama like is kind of like made towards like a broad general audience versus like an anime is made towards like somebody who watches anime.
True.
So like adapting it to the medium, different like tropes that you have to do. Also, you have more freedom with animation. Like
yeah,
like
him bursting
like
into song in his mind.
Yeah, exactly. You can fix that in post versus like if in the mind you're gonna have to like break out a whole Broadway production for it.
It was kind of like that too. He was singing and dancing, like it was where they were having the date. So he's like hanging off the railing of this shopping mall they're in, just singing to the crowd and everything. And in reality, that wasn't happening. So I can see that being like an extra thing that they have to do in a drama.
Interesting. Okay, so do you think you're gonna go watch the movie? Do you think you'll watch the anime?
Yeah, I mean, now that I know some of the differences, yeah, probably.
Okay, you'll have to
Like-
let me know, and I'll go watch the live action, and I'll let you know.
There we go. All right.
Yeah,
we'll come
I'll
back
watch
next
the live
fiscal
action
quarter.
too.
And then I'll have the trifecta where I've seen all 3 manga.
Apparently, there's
and then you'll have the cherry magic. That's
You
how
also-
that's how you get it back. That's how
you
you
also
get it
have to
back.
watch the Thai version, where like it's 24 episodes and each one is an hour.
Oh my gosh.
And they further explore and give like whole back, like every character that appears apparently gets like a whole episode. Like I guess in Thailand they just like to One Piece every character.
Oh God.
Okay, final question for this one, because I'm curious with the drama. Did they go into the side story with the main character's best friend at all?
Yes,
Okay, good.
he gets his whole arc. He gets I thought that was very funny, like the romance writer who is a virgin. To bring it back to Dropout, Jess, I can't remember her last name, but like she's Ace and she's a romance writer.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's like very
Ah.
funny kind of like inversion kind of thing. Also the cat, like I recorded
Mm-hmm.
all the parts with the cat and I sent them to my girlfriend.
Oh, I do have a question about the magic
Oh,
before
yes.
we move on.
Okay.
So I wanted to know, how could Adachi hear across the room? It was specifically the sauna scene. They were not touching in any way, and he could hear Kurosawa's thoughts. And I was like, does it have something to do with the sweat being in the air? But then Kurosawa, Adachi, and their kohai were having the sleepover at Adachi's house. And there was another scenario where he could hear Kurosawa's thoughts, but he wasn't touching him.
Are you sure we just weren't hearing Kurosawa's thoughts?
I
That's
don't
what
know,
I-
because there were some times where they did that, but they made
Mm-hmm.
it very obvious. But Adachi was reacting to what Kurosawa was saying.
So that kind of happens in the drama when they have the sleepover kind of thing, and my interpretation was that he was projecting his own like insecurities onto Hidachi. He's like, I can hear his thoughts, and like that's how I read it, where like he was just projecting his own insecurities onto it.
Okay.
But there was no sauna scene in
I didn't
the
connect
drama.
that they weren't touching. I thought maybe in the sauna they were touching knees or something.
No, they were like on opposite ends of the square. And
Yeah.
then the sleepover scene, they were all standing up and talking, but they were like a respectful distance away from each other. They weren't touching, and none of them were touching at that point. And I was so confused because it wasn't like Kurosawa was just thinking about something and we were hearing it. We were hearing it and Adachi was reacting to it.
I'm wondering if they were working up Adachi's ability to understand like cues based on like having touched him for so long.
maybe.
Because in the only case, so the way that it works is you have to be touching.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of these like excuses. The only exception to that is when you have two wizard virgins in the same room, they can talk telepathically to each other.
Yeah. And that made sense.
Yeah, of course.
That I thought that was cute. I thought
That
that
checks
was fun.
out.
I was waiting
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that to be a reveal that like Kurosawa was like actually a wizard. Like I was like the way like that would have been a funny reveal. Where it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, me too. Like it also kind of like changed it up. That one I also really loved. That like, I think that's the kind of like going back to like Miyano and Sasaki, where it's like there was no real stakes. Like I do like that they both like had that conversation. Just like, yeah, no, we're guys. We can't be together. Blah blah blah. Like
Yeah.
like there is like. It is the thing of like Hidashi like as like low on like the social ladder that he is, he's like being gay would like make him like even lower, and like
Yeah.
Kurosawa being like I'm this high up, I can't go down, I can't do this. That was like that I kind of wish they explored him more. But also a similar thing, I wish they gave Kurosawa a little bit more personality, and like maybe they do in the movie. Other than being like perfect at everything, like they give him more than like than Sasaki. But like I wish a little more. Like, do you even like being a salesman? What do you want?
I'm kind of this is those blinders thing where like the media start to bleed together, but I know in one of the medias they kind of talk about how Kurosawa, he had conformed a lot very early on, and that and then
He does that too, where he's just like, if I am whatever somebody needs me to be, then they'll look past my looks or whatever.
They might have mentioned that in the anime and I'm just not remembering.
the other thing that I wanted to add to this too was your piece about how they made it very real. And one thing that they did in the mangas that I didn't see in the anime, because the anime ends with them getting married. Well, after they get married, or before, I think it's around the time they get married, they start talking about moving in together and they want to get an apartment together and stuff. And they go through the manga and express how difficult it is for them to get an apartment together because these two men show up to interview to talk about renting an apartment, and they both have rings on, and people don't want to rent to them because they're gay. And so
does it end with the pen? Do they do the pen thing in the anime?
Remember a pen thing?
At the end, or near the end, they're like, well, we're not getting married yet, we're still dating, but you'd be too embarrassed to wear a ring, so like he gives them like matching pens, like red pens, and so like it basically is like, oh yeah, this is my favorite pen, there's like a symbol of him.
No, they wear rings. They start wearing rings in the office and everything.
Yeah, and the Fujoshi coworker, she's like, the ship is so strong. No one else has noticed except me. How has no one else noticed?
Yeah, I thought that was... They actually invited her to their wedding, too. She's like one of the only coworkers that gets invited. It's really cute. But
the boss was at the wedding in the anime.
I don't remember him getting invited in the manga.
Wait,
it was so weird.
So I don't know if he wasn't a boss, but he was like a senior level guy. He like drops his work on him. Maybe they do it in a movie, but like the way he like in the beginning like talks to him and joke, he's the one that like introduces the audience to like you'll become a wizard if you're a virgin by 30. Like I kind of got the impression that like he knows because he was one, like he used to be one, because like there was like a moment where like he touches his foot and is like, oh now I'm gonna have to cancel my anniversary plans with my wife, and then like later on he like that's when like Hidashi's like, oh, I'll take it for you, he's like, thanks, bye, and it just like runs out. So I'm like wondering, like, oh, he knows it because he used to be one, so like he did that to like take advantage of him.
That's funny.
I don't know
they
if
didn't
like
do that in
character,
the anime.
Huh.
No.
No. We didn't get like an explanation.
Like, no, I mean
like
there was.
that.
Wait, what do you mean? Like I'm
like,
projecting it.
Oh, okay.
Well, he was just like, he was making fun of him in the beginning. Like, hey, do you have a girlfriend? Hey, if you're if you're a virgin by 30, you become a wizard.
No, but I'm saying like that joke doesn't happen in the anime.
No.
So like we didn't get an intro to it. It's just kind of like, I don't know, some sub thought that's kind of like mentally spoken to us as a like, oh, I turned 30 and oh, I can hear people. Oh, it's because I'm a virgin.
Gotcha.
That, unfortunately, is all the time we have for the episode today. Tune in for part 2 coming out in 2 weeks to hear his thoughts on Skate the Infinity as well as Yuri on Ice. See you next time.